Olá, olá, todo mundo. Desculpa. Oh, sorry, I need to speak in English. Hello, everybody. I am so sorry for the delay starting the live. We had some technical issues. My name is Heloisa Fitzmaurice. I am one of the volunteers with the Spiritism Group Ireland. Today I'm going to be talking about evolution according Spiritism. But before our talk, I would like to start with our initial prayer to set the tone and to start our Sunday in a good way. So I would like to ask everybody, please, if you can, if you are in a safe place, please to close your eyes and to feel comfortable and to take a deep breath, and let's focus our minds in our guide and mentor Jesus, and say a big thank you to Jesus and our creator God for the opportunity of being here today again, alive, to restart our lives every day as our new opportunity of learning, of growing, and more importantly of evolving. And that's our main mission here in this planet. It's every day is a new step. So thank you for very much for the opportunities that we have, for the experiences we share, and for everything that we have done so far, and for the things we're gonna be able to achieve. That's up to us in this life. So thank you so much for being here with me today and to take the time to listen to what I have to say. I hope you have all a blessed week. Thank you so much. So let's share now my slides and let me know if you guys can see it properly. Hope so. If you scream, if you guys can't. So let's go to the next one. So I'm gonna be talking about evolution, and I think it's very hard nowadays to talk about evolution and not think about Charles Darwin, which was the modern father of evolution, possibly. Spiritism will never ever will contradict what science has said, and we will walk hand to hand and together as well with our main thought that there is a supreme intelligence. That's the question number one in our Spiritism book. What is God? It is the supreme intelligence that has created us, and that it doesn't go against the idea of evolution. For us, just add to the idea of evolution. And one of the most, I think, important quotes, I believe, from Charles Darwin, it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsible to change. And living nowadays in a planet that is in constant change, and we've seen so much going on, and we are living the drama of the climate change, the consequences of the last century of the total mistreat of our planet. We're going to have to be very responsive of everything, and how to make things better. And then I think that's how we're going to show how we survive, and also how we adapt ourselves. And that applies as well in our everyday lives, in our work, with our partners, with our kids, with all the type of relationships, because that show how strong we are, not just as a species, but as people as well. It's how responsible we are to change, because change is inherent. We're always going to change. Our body's changing physically, and ourselves, we are changing as well. So before I go into that, let me go more into my slides. So it is evolution according Spiritism. I'm basing myself in many, many things. More importantly, it is in a booklet of the Spiritist Institute of Juiz de Fora in Minas Gerais. There are few books, loads of books about this subject. So, Evolution in Two Words of André Luiz and Chico Xavier. In the Great Word, André Luiz and Chico Xavier. Chico Xavier basically, the spirit of André Luiz, and then by medium Chico Xavier gave us amazing information. And then we have Death, Life, Rebirth by Hernani Guimarães. We have creative impulses of evolution. We have On the Path of Light, Soul Evolution, and we have book Biology. That's the official book that is used in Brazil. So we're going to start with Allan Kardec, most importantly. So how Allan Kardec thought about evolution. So Allan Kardec, as everybody know, he was a professor. And as a professor at his time, we're talking about 2 centuries ago, he had hypotheses as well at how evolution would work. And people would consider Allan Kardec could even be a little bit racist. They had how he would separate things, but we always have to put things in light. That when he was born, when he was based at his work, and how he was able to view things. But one thing Allan Kardec very much made clear was throughout his work, and he was really sought to demonstrate that Spiritism has nothing to do with the marvelous and the supernatural, and it was not related to any type of superstition to start with. So with Spiritism, we were not going to be saying theories that was out of this world, or things that couldn't be explained, or ideas like it was magic and fairies or things like that. And Allan Kardec also postulated that we had to walk hand in hand with progress. Spiritism would never be surpassed, because if new discoveries showed to be in error about any point, it would change at that point. If a new truth were revealed, we would accept it. So basically, he was saying, if Spiritism would say something at that stage, or himself would go with some ideas, and then science would prove something, he said that would time for Spiritism to change it as well, because we should be walking hand to hand, and we should accept when truth was revealed by science, to show he wanted reasoning to be kept. He was a man of reasoning, and he wanted people that would like to follow Spiritism to keep in their reasoning, to keep questioning. Even when you read, even when if you're not understanding what you read, I said, but why? Is that making sense for you to understand? So the formation, did I not skipping on? Huh? That's it. So the formation of life on Earth. So guys, I'm going here to a subject that's not my speciality, so you're gonna have to bear with me, okay? I'm not a scientist, far from. I'm totally a person degree in administration, and always loved more the humane area than the scientific area. The scientific person in the area here is my sister, but I will try my best. So the formation of life on Earth. So this is based in what the scientists had said, okay? It is believed that life on Earth emerged about 2 billion years ago, and according to the theory that prevailed today by Opperman and Muller, the first living being emerged from the combination of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon, combined to a form of water, ammonia, and methane. So that put together, they're saying like no, with the there was that perfect combination. And here in the planet, like in that big, like they call the soup that was going on, and you had like the energy of the sun that was feeding into it, and then was creating then the storms, and then with the creation of the lightnings, then because of the storms would give you the power then, to create like these new molecules that it would form, that was tested in labs and everything. Out of those storms that were created, basically it came the first type of molecules, and those molecules were basically made of amino acids, which are necessary for us to create proteins, and without proteins you cannot have basically life. So that's how they believe that life came in Earth. And that doesn't go against at all our theory as well of divine creation, because it has to be believed that before of all of that, you have to have the sun, you have to have things before that. So it has to have a creator, has to have a supreme intelligence for all of that. So for us, it still doesn't go against the creationism almost, that yes, there is a supreme intelligence for the before of the 2 billion years ago and the creation of the earth. And Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier's mediumship, writes in the book Caminho da Luz, or Way of Light, the literal translation, that this whole untimable process was not the work of chance, but the result of blind inconsequential forces, but the consequence of a well elaborated work by superior spirits responsible for the fate of our planet. So as I said, this whole thing wasn't just chance put it together and voila, you have like no life coming, and then of the little proteins, then you start having little life, like first little bacteria and so on and so on, and then suddenly you're going to have fish, and then suddenly you're going to have the dinosaurs. And for us, there is not chance out of everything, but there is a consequence of a very well elaborated work. Also, Emmanuel, through always Chico Xavier, said, and when the elements of the nascent world come down, when the sunlight kissed in silence the melancholic beauty of the continent, and the primitive seas, Jesus gathered in the heights the divine interpreters of his thought. From the vastness of unlimited space, a cloud of cosmic forces that enveloped the immense laboratory at rest. From then on, it was possible to observe the existence of a viscous element that covered the entire earth. The first steps on the path of life were taken organized. So it says that Jesus, there is a beautiful book that talks about that. That's called I don't remember the name of the book, but it talk about Jesus Christ, and the name Christ being all the Christic force. So there are many other like him with that kind of almost like a level of spirits, that they are creators, like engineers or architects, and together they are like forming planets and everything. It's really amazing to read. So he was basically making the planet for us. So the organic evolution. The reality of the evolutionary process is no longer discussed today. So we know how it's done. Do we know? Not because we know in an arrogant way, but we know by it's being studied. People has come to that conclusion. If you're not like someone that's just in denial, or a totally different line, but in the most schools or line of thought in reason, Darwin and science that you follow, like no science, that will be the line of thought. So the evolution of species is unquestionable fact. Through multiple processes and diverse phenomena, the first living beings, unicellular and simple, were the precursors of all complex forms of life. But what is the mechanism of this evolution? So we should talk about organic, okay? So there were two theories and they acted together trying to explain evolution, and I think they're quite good at they combine each other. So Darwin, so the Darwinism, it was launched in 1859. So at that time, I think the word was marvelous. Was we had Spiritism, we had Darwin. Was just after the French Revolution that brought us the Illuminism time. Like I think the planet was so cool. Like it was such an amazing time for the planet. So Darwin, in the book The Origin of the Species, is based on the natural selection. Is the fittest survive while the less fit will disappear. And then together with that came Hugo Hugo de Fourier. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. He's from the Netherlands. They came with the theory of mutationism. Basically, things mutate, and they go hand to hand. Those two theory, which is amazing. Um, that's based on the concept of mutation, that any change in the genetic heritage of beings, which is transmitted to the descendant species. So, according to this theory, the appearance of a new species would be the result of several mutations that occurred in the previous species. So, the fittest will survive, as Darwin based studying, going to many places, going to the famous Galapagos Island and understand how those survived in here, what is going on. And then Hugo de Vries was one of the first, he was a botanic in the Netherlands, and he started studying plants to understand how they survived, and started studying genetics, was the first one to start genetics, to understand that things mutate. And out of the mutation, you were able to then create the stronger ones. So mutations come for good as well, because we always think about mutation being a bad thing, because at the end of the day, cancer in our body is a form of mutation, but the ones that go wrong. But there are the mutations that go right, and that could be the one that give us the power to be stronger, and the power to us to adapt, to change. Mm? And then we're able to pass that, because we, in our gene, when we were formed, one of our genes mutated, and then of course we grew stronger and we stayed longer, we had more kids, we were able to lead to more kids, and that passed it on to generations, and that is the explanation. And it's really, really amazing, and that's been proved because of the amount of genetics that they've been studying, and DNA and everything. So I find that phenomenal. So he says a plant does not change itself gradually, but remains unaffected during all succeeding generations. It only throws off new forms which are from the very beginning as perfect and as constant, as narrowly defined, as, as pure of type as might be expected of any species. it's just this quote is just uh, really amazing because we think like the changes are gonna come like but it's gonna take one little point at some stage, and that perfection is as perfection. So it shows us to us that anything that is different from us is perfect as well in itself, and it's not up to us to say what is right or really what's wrong is, because nature has defined what's perfect. What has survived is nature saying to us that's perfect. So it's really interesting. So how apes become hominids, or how they became man, is still unknown. So that theory, nobody knows. Okay, there are many hypotheses. I could stay here talking about that, and it's not up to me because spiritism has few, and but no one has one to say that's it. So is that still open to debate? And I love that picture because I do think we are definitely gonna be becoming that shape if we still having that bad posture. Um, yeah. So this is Kardec's hypothesis. It is a hypothesis in the end of the day. So I would like you guys to please keep that in your mind. So Kardec's thought in science strong was influenced at the time by the Greek model, which was beauty equals evolution. Okay, so it's quite funny when you want to say beauty equals evolution. Yes, so at that time was like no, for something to be evolved, they based themselves on the Greek model. Um, so for something to be evolved, it has to be really beautiful, and that the perfection was visually beautiful. And so Genesis by Kardec, chapter 11. So hypothesis, guys. So it's not him saying that's what I like. No, a hypothesis on the origin of the human body. It might well be that monkey bodies served as clothing for the first human spirits, necessarily not very advanced, who came to incarnate on earth. This clothing being more appropriate to their needs and more suited to the exercise of their faculties than the body of any other animal. Instead of making a special envelope for the spirit, he would have found one ready made. He then dressed himself in the skin of a monkey without ceasing to be a human spirit, just as men often dress in skin of certain animals without ceasing to be a man. Like, no, literally dresses, put it on some clothes. This is just a hypothesis. In no way he poses or he said that it was his principle, but presented only to show that the orange of the body in no way harms the spirit, which is the main being, and that the similarity of the body of a man with that of the monk does not imply parity between your spirit and that of the monkey. The idea then at that stage was spirits had to come to earth, um, to have to incarnate in earth, but instead of creating new bodies out of the blue, you use bodies of animals that were already here, and using the animal body of the monkeys because they thought like could be kind of ready made. That was Kardec theory. But it's interesting to see that spiritism has also evolved. That his hypothesis is not totally wrong, but it's a hypothesis. And now you guys are going to see that spiritism has evolved, and spiritism itself has explained that maybe Kardec wasn't totally right as well. I love those pictures of platypus. Aren't they the cutest thing? Because platypus is evolution showing to you that why why an animal is like that. That I don't know, but who cares because it's so cute. So time passed. We learned things like ecosystem, beauty, just doesn't set the table. Okay, nature doesn't make leaps. Alligators and platypus are doing very well, thank you. Nothing is lost, everything is transformed. So I love that. Guys, nothing is lost. Nothing. Everything in nature is transformed. One thing becomes another. And it's amazing. And nature doesn't make leaps. And if you look at the alligators, for me, they're still dinosaurs that somehow survived. Just became smaller. You look at the sharks are here since the dinosaur time. So many things adapted, so many things just transformed. So spiritism also evolved because everything has to evolve. That's in the law, isn't it? As we always hear ourselves. So always remember about the platypus. So we go with Chico Xavier and Emmanuel. Emmanuel as this amazing spirit that has taught us so much through Chico. That for me, undoubtedly, and what a leader in a way, not a leader of mass, and to be there, but what a human being to be such well positioned, not intervening things that's not up to him. Uh, really, really good. But anyway, so Emmanuel explained that many of the transformations that occurred in beings were previously from both in their perispirit structures. So then when we learn about perispirit, so our perispirit is defined as between one existence and another. On our spiritual realm, before we come back to earth, the beauty spirits, under the supervision of Jesus, retouch the perispective forms successively, and these alterations would create the magnetic field for the future ones. That's it. The mutations do not happen by chance, but because there was a preparation or disturbance in the magnetic field of the living being, which we can call the perispirit, and which ended up by shaping the physiological field, which also explains certain cases of deformations. So, how many times in Spiritism we did hear, cases of people born with certain type of deformations and things like that, necessary for any spirit aware of it, the necessary for their next life through misuse of their body in the previous life. So, what is this all of saying? That the perispirit, being this kind of plastic shape of your spirit, because the spirit is just a light. So the perispirit is the form thing. Give you the shape, or give you the is going to conduct what that body will need. And then once that incarnation is going to be prepared for you to come back, then if a mutation will be needed, that will be kind of ignited, would be kind of it's like if the software that your perispirit is going to promote that to upload that to your computer, as the computer is the new body that you're gonna come, and the new software update it's coming to you to update that, and it's gonna give you the new kind of that little change that's gonna be needed for you, for the body then to receive what is needed. So a more straight, a straighter body, a stronger in a sense, a body with less hair, I don't know, a body that will need few things, my structure for a different type of for the brain to grow in a certain way, for us to be few things to prepare for the humans as they wanted us to be, because they knew they have this time and time space for them that doesn't exist. So they knew what they wanted to do with us. So that's the idea. So it doesn't it doesn't go against the theory of Darwin and Hugo Trevier's. It's just added how they think mutation would have happened and how the fetus survived then. Here, let's not ignore the here in any way the action of agents. So just make sure that let's not ignore here in any way the action of agents, substances, toxic or malformation in the genetic conformation, which can also cause chromosomal aberrations or mutations. He also says that the current beings do not have, at the beginning of life, their biological forms fully defined. Multiple experiences in genetic heritage of our ancestors, coordinated by sidereal geneticists, shaped those forms that should persist into the present times. Natural selection would take care of making inactive primate forms disappear. So that is how Emmanuel by Chico Xavier explained, um, mixing the theory of mutationism in intelligent design, that is the our creationism but intelligent, and Darwin. It's extremely interesting. You put all together, and that's how spiritism is trying to explain the biology of how things happened. So I'm so sorry. Probably I am very poor explaining it. Uh, that's on the books. You can read more. So the spiritual evolution. Also, Allan Kardec says we do not know the origin and way of creation of the spirits. We only know that they are created simple and ignorant, and that is without science and without knowledge, but perfectible and with equal aptitude for acquiring everything and knowing everything. The truth is, no one knows. We don't know. We don't know how we came. Like, no, the first time, the blink, we exist. Like, no, if, like, we are created like no little sparks, and if God keep creating us all the time, like, we don't know. Nobody knows. It's just speculation. But today there is no longer enough that the spirits in their longer trajectory have traversed the different kingdoms of nature. So Leon Denis, so it's another spirit, thought that the soul sleeps in stone, dreams in plants, moves in animals, and wakes in men. Is fully incorporated in the doctrinal body of Spiritism. I found it so beautiful. It's like a poem. And so to say, even the stones have souls. Well, by the spirit is, yeah, but it's a sleepy one, yeah. And then and definitely the plants, and of course our animals. How much we know that they have, yeah. But it's fully awake. It's fully awake, and awake meaning it is thinking, conscious thinking. Thinking by I know the famous I know I exist. I am making choices. I am able to say I want to do this. I don't want to do this. I have a moral feelings. So that's the awakening feeling. Not to say that animals are not awakened because they do have, but they have we call the instincts, which is different from our feelings as humans. Uh, so that's more the difference. Also, André Luiz in the book Mecanismo da Mediunidade or Mediumship Mechanisms explain that today we have the spirit as a traveler of the cosmos, breathing in different ranges of evolution, conditioned in its perception to the scale of the progress it has already achieved. It's really nice, isn't it? We are a traveler We are also a traveler of the world of the cosmos. Imagine with a little backpack traveling. So, so that's given to you by two ways. So the time of evolution, that is what life has already given you, and the time of personal effort in building your destiny. That's it. What he himself has already given to life. Um, so life has given already something to you, and then you have your time in effort to building your own destiny. So it's a combination of two things. In the book, also by André Luiz, and No Mundo Maior, on in the greater world, he says, we are not miraculous creations destined to adorn a cardboard paradise. I like this idea of a cardboard paradise, to be there just admiring something. We are children of God and hers of centuries, conquering values from experience to experience, from millennium to millennium. So we are not here, guys. We are not those little miracles creations, just to be there, like, to be there, stop it, little things, like, to be in this paradise that is, I, when you say the cardboard paradise, it's something in a paper that nobody's moving, that's just there looking, and everybody's stopped, literally adoring, la la la. No, we are children of God. Like, anything children think those things moving, like, no, not stop it, like, like my kids going bananas downstairs, as I can hear. And hers, like, hers is who's receiving, like, the inheritance of centuries, and conquering values. We are conquering the values, so our values now are ours. So have it. It's yours now. From experience to experience, from millennium to millennium. So the values that you have, they are yours now. They're conquered. So hold your precious values, your good values, of course. But if this value is good, if it's not value, we don't call value. And it's yours because it's been conquered. Also, hope my camera is not moving too much. Also, André Luiz affirms that to reach the age of reason with the title of man. Um, when we say man, I know that sounds a little bit sexist. We should change that. Title of human being. Endowed with reasoning and discernment, the being automated in its impulses on the way to the angelic realm, spent no less than 1.5 billion years. Little, né, guys? 1.5 billion years. So we're almost there, I think. We're gonna get, yeah. So we see, we've been we've been alive for at least 1.5 billion years because we're already people. So we're a little bit older, aren't we? We thought we are young. So you can say now, how old are you? You can say, I am 1.5 billion and 40 years old. Um, to that stage of reasoning. And we still think we have no reason at all, have we? With the conquest of reasoning, lucidity, free will, and continuous thought appear. Until then, progress at a centripetal orientation. That's it. From outside to the inside. The being grew by the force of things, since it was not aware of its reality, nor freedom of choice. Upon entering the human realm, the intelligent principle, now spirit, is able to direct its life, to conquer its values through its own effort, to initiate an evolution with a centrifugal orientation from the inside to the outside. So I think that's amazing. Even though I put the ego, the ego is such an amazing animal, but the reasoning, the free will, all the free will and the continuous thought, what it has done from us, we we have the freedom of choice. And then I think that unfortunately that our animals, uh, they don't have. They just have to go with the flow. They have to survive. They are free there in, like, when you think the savannah, they have to survive. They have to wake up. They have to find food, find water. They have to procreate. Life goes on. So it is the outside impacting their inside. They have no time to think, oh, is that what I want to do of my life? No, they don't. They have the instinct of protection to look after for the babies and so on, but they don't have the choice. So today say, nope, I'm not gonna hunt. Not gonna hunt. I don't feel like. Yeah, they don't, because if they don't, they know they're gonna starve, or they're gonna have a fight in, like, in their pride if they're lions, and they're gonna have problem. But when now that we have the human realm, this intelligent principle that our spirit is, we are able to direct our life. We are directing our life. Now we are not only the, like, the actor, we also the director. We are it all. We are the whole movie. So we are conquering our values through our own efforts. So our evolution now that was already started, okay, we had never stopped evolving, but now our evolution is this centrifugal orientation, like, this is spinning force that's coming from the inside, from the outside. So, like, it's literally coming from, as we always say, from our core. That's our core values that we always hear. It's literally becoming coming from our inside, and that we cannot forget that. It's our time to say, it's my wishes. It's what I want to do. It's my choice. It's my option to do that, and take it. Assume you want to do it. You want to do it. But you're going to have consequences. Don't forget. Hmm? But it's up to you, because it's part of your evolution. And then when you look at an animal outside, you know that they didn't have the option. But they're there, they're living, and they're happy because they don't know another option. But you have another option, and they will always have the option. Sometimes they're not easy, and sometimes, many times, they're not going to be obvious to us. And but we're going to have options, and it's going to be up to us, always up to us, not to the other. We're always going to have the external world enforcing us and limiting us, but within our limited, even, we still have our own choices to make. Even if our limited money, opportunities, and things, we still have our own choices, even how we're gonna deal with a trouble. Isn't that famous phrase? It's not never how we fall, but it's always how we're gonna stand up again, because that show how we really are. We always have that option. You can stand up smiling and say, oh, or you can stay in the floor, like, complaining and moaning and rolling a little bit more. So I think that's very important. So, but the conquest of intelligence is only the first step that the spirit will take in this way in the human realm. He must now begin the valiant struggle to conquer the superior values of the soul: responsibility, sensitivity, sublimation of emotions, in short, all the conditions that will allow the spirit to rise to the community of angelic beings. So they say for us to go back one day to God, isn't that? They say that we're going to evolve, evolve, evolve. So one day to go back there. And I think we far. I hope we far, because I think it's still to be human. But maybe one day we get there. But it's is that all of that. It is our responsibility. It's our emotions, how we deal with that, how we deal with other emotions, how we talk, how we respond to things, how we treat other people. How are we really evolving? Because when you see the news, every day. I always ask myself, are we evolving at all? At all. When you still have crimes as crimes of racism, and we still have um, social media with the amount of hate that we have, people absolutely test each other and don't mind saying what they say about each other. And when you see people being murdered for no reason whatsoever, well, not reason to murder, never, but you have all the horrendous things, like, teenagers in Ireland be attacked by other teenagers in gangs. um and then you ask yourself, like, what is going on? Are we evolving? Are we evolving? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm asking you guys, so if you could answer me. But we need to concentrate in our own evolution. So it is our responsibility. It's our, again, free will, and it's our choice. And we need to try our best. And if for the ones that decided to have kids, and it's up to us then to make sure we are leading them, to help them to make their better choices until they're able to make for themselves. And never forget, like, we have an objective, we have a place to go, we are constantly evolving, we are constantly in a change. And and it's important to remember that there was so much work done on us. There was so much detailed job done on us. If you think all about the evolution of the planet and everything that has happened for this body, physical body, to be here, for this planet to be here, for everything we have, the plants, the rivers, the sea. Like, it's a beautiful place. Everything, everywhere you go and you start admiring, you go, oh gosh, definitely someone designed this. Someone, something really is inspired. Like, when you see some animals, like, I love cats, and when you see them, it's definitely someone was really inspired when they decide to do kittens, because they are perfect. Like, um so we do have the choice, and it is now our part of evolution, and we can't stop evolution. We can't. And as Darwin said, who will survive? And when we say survive, it's not only survive uh, in being alive in this planet, but survive like in the mental way, really. It is the who is able to change, and who is able to adapt to changes, and who is able to see, okay, let's see what I can do better now. And that is evolution. What can we do better now is evolution. So a man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. And that's Charles Darwin too. So let's not waste our time. Um, let's use all our moments, because life has been given to us to really enjoy. So, as some people say, now we have only one life. Like, no, um, no, we have many. Yeah, we only definitely die once in this life, but we live every day. We live every day. So every day we have to have the opportunity to wake up and say, what can I take? What can I do it better? What's going to be my little change? How can I adapt myself better? Not easy, but we can do it. And I finished by saying the greatest gift we can give the world is our own evolution. So don't forget that. If we can leave something behind, many of us, we're not going to be able to leave too much behind. But if we can at least leave our own evolution, finish much better than how we came, I think we have done great. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me on this Sunday morning. And I hope you had a great time. I speak too much. I know, I'm so sorry. Just reminding our activities. So our public meetings uh, live happen every second Sunday from 12 o'clock, with the healing start at 11:15. So if I'm not wrong, we're gonna have next Sunday, but if we don't, Stephen will let you know. Because bank holiday, the 4th here of June is next Sunday, and the 5th is bank holiday. And then the online speeches then every second Sunday from 11:15. We have the virtual healing every Tuesday at 8:30. And we have online meetings every Wednesday at 9, the spiritual light with Stephen and everybody from the European federal, no, it's not federal, well, the European Spiritism Society. And Thursday live we have Stephen and guests at 7:15. And we are a non-profitable organization, which depends you to exist. So whatever, you can go to our Spiritism group on Sundays, please help in our canteen, or any other way you want to collaborate, please reach out to Stephen, and he's going to be very happy, because you do need to pay for the rent and for insurance and those type of things. We have a Facebook page. We do have our web page, but the Facebook is definitely updated all the time, and that's our email. And thank you very, very much. I hope you guys have a blessed Sunday, and I hope to see you all very soon. Thank you so much. I'm just going here and to be able to finish up. Thanks so much again, guys, and have a great, great Sunday. Take care.